Hello everyone, so I have some satellite images for you here, shared by MT Anderson on Twitter. I thought I'd take a look at these because of claims online that Russia has pretty much emptied Sevastopol of all major ships, moving them out of range of Ukraine's attacks and moving them to Novorossiysk instead. If this is accurate, then it's testament to the failings of Russia's air defence that, rather than keep the ships in Sevastopol and rely on the S-300s, S-400s, Buks and Pantsers to defend them, Russia's course of action has been to disperse a significant chunk of their fleet elsewhere. But is that the case? Let's take a look. Before we get to that though, I have a different image for you from Novorossiysk, and it's very interesting indeed. This image here shows a Project 22160 patrol boat in drydock at Novorossiysk. This is interesting, because in late September, Ukraine claimed to have hit a patrol boat, the Sergey Kotov, with a marine drone, severely damaging it. The Kotov then wasn't seen for a while, leading to some rumours that it had actually sunk. The past imagery we looked at from Sevastopol and Novorossiysk from late September only detected 2 of the Project 22160s. Russia has 4 in service. Now, we can't say for certain if this one seen in dry dock here is the Sergey Kotov. The Black Sea Fleet has 4 of these active, so it could actually be any of these 4. But it is certainly a possibility. Russia does often put ships in dry dock to undergo routine maintenance. The Rostov-on-Don was at dry dock for routine maintenance before Storm Shadow turned it into scrap, same as the Minsk. So we are going to have to wait and see if we can get confirmation if this Project 22160 is the Sergey Kotov, which could be proof that it was damaged in a Ukrainian marine drone attack. So on to Novorossiysk Naval Base itself. So I have 2 recent sets of recent images for you. One from October the 1st, one from October the 5th. I'm going to take a look at both, so we can see the comings and goings between those dates. Now, I've covered the types of Black Sea Fleet ships and their purposes pretty extensively in past videos I did, looking at the satellite imagery. So, I'm not going to go too much detail into those, so the video isn't repeating old ground. On screen now is the first image from October the 1st. The focus of this image is on the submarine pen at Novorossiysk. Here, we can see 3 Kilo-class submarines. There is also a Natya-class minesweeper and a pair of Sorum-class tugboats. It was a Sorum-class tugboat that rammed a Ukrainian tug in the Azov Sea back in 2018. Also visible is the weapons runner, the Pisna. On October the 5th, in the submarine pen, we now have 2 Kilo-class submarines. We'll come to that later on as it crops up in a bit. The Black Sea Fleet had 7 kilos, 1 destroyed, 1 in the Baltic undergoing repairs, 1 deployed in the Med, so 4 are active in the Black Sea area. The Admiral Makarov has appeared here, berthed near the sub-pier, with the Natya-class minesweeper now departed. The Makarov now the flagship of the Black Sea Fleet. Next up, from the 1st of October. So here we can see the Makarov was there then, only berthed at the southern section of the base. Also berthed nearby is its sister ship, the Admiral Essen, and a Krivac-class frigate, the Ladny or Pietlivy. The Black Sea Fleet has 2 Krivac-class ships and 3 Admiral Grigorovich-class ships. Those are Russia's Black Sea Fleet's frigate term fleet. The Essen and the Makarov are Grigorovich classes. So far, at Novorossiysk on October the 1st, we have 3 of the large frigates there. We can also see the Ursa Major, which hasn't unloaded its goods yet. This crops up again soon. October the 5th, a few changes. The Makarov is gone. Remember, it's docked near the sub-pier now, we saw it in the last image. The Krivac, also gone. Remaining here is the Essen. There are 2 new ships, a Rapua-class landing craft and a pair of Buyanem-class corvettes. Also, note the Ursa Major, fully loaded and I assume going to depart soon. Back to October the 1st in a different section of the base. We have an Ivan Gren-class landing ship, 2 Rapua-class landing craft. Now these have been here for a while, visible on this same spot back in September as well, which is quite interesting. Russia was using these to transport supplies back and forth between Novorossiysk and Sevastopol. But we haven't seen any movement, at least from these 3, for a while now. Could be fewer supplies are needed at the moment, or that transit is now considered dangerous because of Ukraine's attacks, or just that different ships are being used. But if the transportation between Novorossiysk and Sevastopol has been cut down, then Ukraine has done a great job in halting Russia's logistical supply chain here. Also visible, a Project 22160, an Alligator landing craft and another Bora-class ship. There's also a pair of smaller patrol boats, the Grisha and the BNB. On the 5th, those Rapuas and the Ivan Gren are still here. A new Rapua-class ship has arrived, switching places with the Project 22160. The Alligator is still here. One Rapua has departed, however, it may have merely moved position in the harbour actually. It is impossible to tell to be sure. The Grisha is still visible. Here too we can see the third Kilo, moved out of the submarine bay for some reason. So there are certainly a lot of ships here, and the Kilos being deployed here instead of Sevastopol is interesting. But can we say for sure that Sevastopol has been emptied? These images are again from Antti Andersson on Twitter. They show the frigate pier and Avlita, and here at Avlita we can see a dry dock which I have overlooked in the past. It's now taken up by a ship called the Matros-Pozinik. This is a ship that's been involved in smuggling grain. Maybe it's time it tries smuggling a Storm Shadow. Now, as to the big military ships itself, there isn't any sign here of a mass exodus of Russian ships. We can see the two Krivac-class frigates are here now, as well as a Rapua-class landing craft. There are also smaller Tarantul and Karakurt-class patrol ships. So, despite a large number of ships being at Novorossiysk, there is still some firepower certainly here at Sevastopol. What I think is true, however, is that the important ships, those used to launch Kalibr and Oniks missiles, which are the 3 Kilo class submarines, the Grigorovich-class frigates, the Essen and the Makarov, and the BNMs, have been redeployed. Kalibr has a range of 2,500 kilometers, so they can launch from Novorossiysk. So those ships, the Kalibr launching ones, have been redeployed to Novorossiysk, with the other ships remaining here, such as the Krivaks providing air defense and patrol ships to guard the harbour itself from marine drone attacks. So, not a mass exodus as some places reported, Sevastopol is certainly not abandoned, but there has been a repositioning, moving some of the important Kalibr launching ships which Russia can't afford to lose out of harm's way. Still, pretty embarrassing having to send your important ships out of the way because a country without a navy is bullying you. Pivdena Bay, we have mainly patrol ships and intelligence ships and utility craft. There are a pair of Rapua-class ships seen, so despite the lack of movement from some of those Rapuas I mentioned seen at Novorossiysk, there are still Rapuas here, and presumably carrying out transport operations. 1 Kilo is seen here too, in the sub-pen. This would be the Alrosa. Now this is quite interesting. We have the refueling pier and the ship repair bay, as well as a pair of dry docks. First, in dry dock we can see a Bora-class ship. One of these, you may remember, was damaged slightly by a marine drone last month, and we saw on satellite imagery its sister ship undergoing maintenance in the dry dock. Towards the end of September, satellite images showed them both active again. Now we have one back in dry dock, likely undergoing routine maintenance. These seem to go in dry dock quite a lot and seem to need regular, routine maintenance to keep them running. At the repair bay, down at the bottom, we have another Rapua-class ship. So by my count, including the Minsk that was destroyed, we have 8 accounted for. We've seen on past satellite imagery that one is now stationed at Feodasia, on Crimea's southeastern coast. This is quite important because of a missing ship, the Olenogorsky Gornyak. This was hit by a Ukrainian marine drone and holed. It entered dry dock and then disappeared. It cropped up later, supposedly, photographed with the damage supposedly repaired at Sevastopol. Now until now we didn't have satellite imagery confirming the presence of all Rapua-class ships at one time. Now we do, so that puts to bed a few of the rumours circulating that she was secretly scuttled. So which ship of these is the Gornyak? Well, take a look at this high quality satellite image here. We can see a pair of Rapuas, and MT Anderson points out the one on the left looks like it's been stripped down. I think here we have the Gornyak. The hole was patched and it was moved to Sevastopol to undergo more specialist repairs. The drydock it was intended to go in was hit by a storm shadow, but others we saw are occupied. So it's here, possibly being stripped down and undergoing whatever repairs it can have done here, likely before being moved to a drydock once one frees up again. I may be wrong, but I think that's what we're seeing here. Let's catch up with our old friends, the Minsk and Rostov. Here is the Minsk being ripped apart. This ship is finished. Hopefully it takes Russia a long time to dismantle, leaving it in dry dock for as long as possible. Here's the Rostov, with a cold compress covering its bruised noggin and a blanket covering its battered arse. Russia does look like they are trying to repair it, but given the damage we saw caused, it's going to be a long and expensive job. If they do a bodge job of it, and what am I saying? I mean, when they do a bodge job of it, I wouldn't be too surprised to see it become a permanent fixture on the seabed. Finally, we have the aftermath of the Black Sea Fleet headquarters. This image shows how precise the Storm Shadow strike was, it just gutted this building. So that's it for this video, I hope you found it interesting. But playing now is a clip from the Ukraine Volunteer Centre of the result of a recent fundraiser, which was intended to build shelters for stray dogs as a result of the war. As you can see, the shelter is coming along nicely. I've included the Ukraine Volunteer Centre's PayPal link in the video description. If anybody wants to send some money to help finish the work, with the other shelters being built, and buy some food for the hounds, it'd be greatly appreciated, and big thanks to everybody who donated. I'll play the video in full. Unfortunately, I couldn't translate it from dog until English, but it's worth a watch. Thanks so much, and take care everybody.